taken a look at is the automobile market. And we were kind of trying to understand, are there definitive differences that can be seen for some of the major brands in the automotive market? Now, before some of you who are wise in automotive say, demography plays a huge part of this, the answer is it does. And it's interesting because you can only afford what you can afford. And in our society, Western society, because what we refer to as the bottom two rows, the verbal row and the mind row, tend to be folks who more like to read, more long-term thinkers. Therefore, education and advanced education is something that they are more likely to engage in. Hence, they're more likely to have higher level degrees. Hence, in our society, that is rewarded with higher level revenue in terms of their personal balance sheet. And yet, when we look at things in the car world, we still see differences. And some of those differences are inherent in terms of what appeals to the customer, the driver of a BMW versus the driver of a Porsche. Wouldn't it be the same? In some ways it is. Some of the profiles are relatively consistent for some of the luxury models. And I would hypothesize that part of the challenge there is because so much of the selling of the luxury car has been the selling of the luxury car, the luxury experience, and not truly seeking to differentiate in the best way possible to have those messages best received by the best target profile people you have. There are profiles who love the experience of driving, and those are the folks that would read that technical specification and really understand stuff that I would never understand as a perceive. I'm just not that interested in my car. But a lot of folks in that mind row, it's all about how do I get that experience, and it's not a touchy-feely thing. It's not an emotional kind of connection as much as it is the effectiveness of the car and how well it performs and the way it hugs the road and the feeling that that provides to folks that are really not the feeling kind of people. And the way you could potentially sell that or express that in a way that would give you a higher degree of receptivity to your messaging, there are subtle differences, but with the Xyte comprehension of who you're currently marketing to, who's currently making your buys, and how you might drive a slightly different level of appeal, you all experience this. I do too. There's certain car advertisements that break the mold and resonate. The latest Chrysler stuff imported from Detroit. Fascinating concept, right? And I look at that, and I generally wouldn't have considered a Chrysler, but it actually appeals to me at a visceral level that makes me almost, I'm not in the market for a car right now, but if I were, I would actually go drive the Chrysler 300 just because the advertising spoke to me with such a richness that it was remarkable. Now, that is a part great creative, part looking at what's going on in the marketplace and understanding, and it's clever, it's intelligent, has all kinds of good things going for it. But if you look at it from the perspective of understanding humans, it's fascinating because I would wager that it has appeal in multiple places across the profiles because of that it's America and yet it's imported. It's this very interesting mix that has an interesting appeal, I think, across the market segments. We haven't redone it in a while. I think we redo it in a year. We might see a slightly different profile break for Chrysler. But when I'm thinking about luxury cars, the difference between Acura, Infiniti, BMW, Porsche, they do profile in a fairly similar way with some differences. Certain profiles are higher, like number one for this is slightly different than number one for that. And within that comprehension is a richness that you could help inform your creatives about how to push the right buttons, forgive the term, right? By really understanding who the current buyers are and users of the product, that can help you better message to get more of them to join you. One of the other things that is important to spend some time talking about with Xyte is, okay, I understand the category, the brand, the preferences. What the heck do I do? How do I take the learning I've got and do something differently to try to influence people in different kinds of ways? Well, there's the whole messaging aspect of this, getting the right message. Let's make the assumption we've already crossed that bridge and we have the right message, we've copy tested it, doing what we want it to do. Where do I put it? Well, the other thing that we've been able to do within the Xyte world and with a panel of folks that have been typed to their Xyte profiles is we've done a lot of work to understand what do they consume from a media perspective. Which magazines are they more likely to read? What kind of genre of television program are they most likely to watch because it has inherent appeal to them? There's a fundamental difference between somebody who is a History Channel buff and somebody who is, believe it or not, a Discovery Channel buff. Those are slightly different, and they appeal to different groups. The person who reads Car and Driver and the person who reads People Magazine and the person who reads Forbes, obviously you think they're different, but we can tell you, based on an understanding of the natural proclivity that profiles have to go to certain forms of media to get their information, we can not only help you with what your messaging is to be best understood and to have people most receptive to it, we can also tell you how do you increase the odds that the person that you're trying to reach is going to be hit with that message. It's about understanding the media consumption habits by profile and being able to help you say, if these are the kinds of people I'm interested in reaching, these are the kinds of media placements I should consider making, because that will yield the highest portion of people that are in profile perceived.